Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Starladder Europe coverage. We're here with day number 20 of the group stage, and we've got 4 games coming up today, first of which will be Team Empire versus MYM. We're getting down to that nitty-gritty, and some of these top teams really need these wins if they want to secure their spot in the top 4 to move on to the LAN finals. I'm Zyori in the studio. I'm joined remotely by BTS Gods. Parker, what's the good word today, man?
Not too much, man. I'm excited for some Dota. I feel like shit. I just ate 20 chicken McNuggets,
Oh my
um,
God.
of which there was maybe like an eighth of a whole chicken. I don't feel like I got much chicken, but
You are a masochist, sir. Why would you do that to your innards?
it sounded like a good idea at the time, but it turns, you know, some decisions are not good ones.
Like 5 chicken nuggets, that's handleable, but 20, Jesus, dude.
I was hungry, but I, no, my
10
body is
seconds
not ready. So if
remaining.
I duck out mid cast, you know what's happening.
5 seconds
All right, well,
remaining.
good to know. So we've got an interesting array of games coming up today. A lot
Reserve
of sort
time.
of favorites versus some of the underdog type teams. Empire versus MYM. We'll have Navi versus HR. We'll have an interesting game in the middle of VP Polar versus Cloud9. Then it'll be Fnatic versus MYM.
Radiant
And just
team
glancing at the
ban.
grid really quickly here to get a handle on where we're at. Empire 7-3, currently in 4th place. So when you're hovering around that 3-loss mark, that's right where you need to be careful
Team
about giving away
Empire's
those
turn to
unnecessary
ban.
losses. Same deal with Navi and Cloud9. Navi are 3 losses themselves, 8-3, and Cloud9 they're actually 7-5. So their chances of making it into the top 4 are actually pretty slim.
Yeah, things
10
have
seconds remaining.
changed for the worse for some of these teams, which is interesting. And
Five
the other thing,
seconds
okay,
remaining.
no, Virtus Pro dropped off because I remember Virtus Pro like started off like 3-0 or 4-0, but they've now got 3 losses. So interesting to see how things develop.
Radiant
Fnatic
team
2
pick.
0 have not played many games. That's definitely a team to look out for as well as far as making a late run. They haven't really looked too dominant with their new roster, but hey, you never really know with some of these teams.
Yeah. Empire's been they've been looking pretty solid. They'll have their full roster today, and MYM Arise is here. I guess he's not technically standard anymore, and they'll have Quicks with them in the place of Baby Knight. I'm not sure if
10
Baby Knight is
seconds
even on this team
remaining.
anymore. He hasn't been playing with MYM for at least the past
Five
A
5
long
seconds
games
time.
I've covered
remaining.
from them.
Yeah, since I remember the first time when I get my cast, like 2 weeks ago, maybe he was
Reserve
not playing
time.
then. So
Yeah.
they may have bid adieu to Baby Knight. The few games I saw of him, he wasn't that impressive. He did definitely look out of his comfort zone. I mean, as a StarCraft 2 pro, well, Dota
Team
2 is probably not his
Empire's
comfort zone,
turn to
even if he
pick.
was a former Dota 1 star as well. But this
Yeah.
dropped pretty far underway between MYM and Empire, and nothing crazy coming out of the two drafts just yet. Empire picking up a very early kind of Mirana pick, I guess, but it just synergizes so nicely with the Void and is such a flexible pick. Other than that, I think MYM. I
Radiant
like the
team
Wraith King
pick.
pick. It's a good support or carry to have against the Faceless Void. Having a hero who doesn't just one of the few heroes who doesn't just get insta killed in a
Team
Chronosphere and then is taken out of
Empire's
a fight.
turn to
Yeah.
ban.
I like the Vengeful Spirit against Void as well. I want to say it's destined to be a core Wraith King, but we've seen a surprising amount of the Vengeful Spirit getting early farm priority, rushing a mech or a Force Staff or something on the like. It's Power Rangers that have been doing that quite a
10
bit, but
seconds
perhaps
remaining.
something that MYM want to try. So a little bit of flexibility across their first 3
5
picks. Could
seconds
even be a support
remaining.
Skywrath. We haven't seen a hell of a lot of it recently, but certainly an option. Empire will grab the Shadow Demon, though, a
Reserve
hero that
time.
I've been commenting on a lot, not getting a hell of a lot of love recently, but of course sets up very nicely with the Mirana. They could be a roaming support duo, and I think that's probably a likely scenario.
Yeah, this gives you obviously the perfect setup for a Mirana arrow. I don't I don't know if this is the most crazy game for a Shadow Demon. Apart from the Mirana synergy, this isn't the best Shadow Demon game. There's no like big BKB carry hero that Purge is going to be great against. I mean, Wraith King in theory can be a carry that's great to Purge, but lots of squishy heroes in general. I think getting a more kind of like high damage output support could have worked nicely, but obviously the Shadow Demon Mirana combo not something to be overlooked. But I think locking your supports into sticking with one another often is something that doesn't work as well in the current 6.81 patch. Is what we've seen a lot of teams like give a support hero like a solo lane at some points, but often splitting up their supports into 2-1-2 lanes. So I don't feel like having a strict support duo that has to stick together is necessarily a good thing. But With that said, Mirana can solo roam gank mid while Shadow Demon babysits Void, so there is still some potential for the supports not to stick together.
Yeah, definitely some flexibility. So, Dire side, I want to think Void will probably be their position 1, farming away in the safe lane, and they'll pick up an off-laner here. But MYM seems to disagree. They ban out the Jakiro, I think, assuming it's either an off-lane Mirana or an off-lane Void. And Ember Spirit, the final ban from Empire. So, well, we'll see what they have in mind. Quite a bit of flexibility. I think the only thing that we know essentially for sure is that Brewmaster will be headed to the mid lane.
Yeah. Well, I like the Brewmaster pick. I think it's a good hero that suits Resolution. Put him on any kind of good initiator, and he can make the plays happen. The Empire have been doing really well lately. They're not crushing it in Starladder, but they've been taking games off of pretty much every top team out there. They've taken games off Tinker, off Cloud9. Not always consistently. They've lost games here or there, but overall, this is a team that's looking really solid at the moment. So MYM had their work cut out for them, and I think even though MYM, I think, it pretty much knocked out a Starladder Anchor into the land finals, this is often one of those cases where you can play Kingmaker and take a game off a big team is always really nice for some of these upcoming teams. So
yeah,
by all means, MYM will be giving it their all.
And it's also important to remember that you don't want to be in the bottom 4 in the European group stage of Starladder. Bottom 2 will get dropped down, and then the second bottom 2 will have to play for their spot coming up in the next season. So there is some added incentive to at least be middle of the pack if you're not in the top 4.
Okay, so Invoker last pick for Empire. That puts Brew into the offlane, and well, I said Resolution Brewmaster. It looks like he's going to be handling the Invoker, which is well, perhaps even much more of a Resolution hero than the Brewmaster, maybe.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, you don't really want to aggro try with the Faceless Void, so yeah, I guess that's the way they'll have to do it. Void offlane, yeah.
That was your traditional EG offlane as far as when the hero first started gaining popularity.
Rarely on the Dire side, though. They almost exclusively did it on Radiant when they first started it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dire side a lot weaker there, and especially against these strong supports. Venge Skywrath, you're going to get zoned out completely. So I don't think you want to... Yeah, I definitely don't think you want to do that. Whoever's in the offlane is going to have a rough time. So maybe you look towards like an early Shadow Demon Mirana gank on the bottom lane before they head top. Like this Shadow Demon Mirana could kind of pop up in any lane whatsoever.
Yeah. It will be the Arise Magnus. That was one I had kind of in the back of my brain, and I know one we've talked about a little bit. One of few players in the competitive scene that still has an itch for the Magnus. Basically, him and S4, they're kind of alone in that plight, but always a fun hero to see, and hopefully it works out pretty well. I feel like the last few times we've seen Arise play Magnus, things have kind of fallen apart a bit too quickly before the Magnus can really get online. He does need a little bit of that core farm to get his Blink Dagger and possibly some Arcane Boots before he can really start moving around and finding those big RPs, but can be a difficult hero to make big plays with if the other team doesn't give you big opportunities in terms of clumping up or,
5 seconds remaining.
You know, that kind of stuff.
It's a hard hero to make work. He's become a lot more reliant on teammates as far as his damage output goes. I mean, Shockwave you can kind of spam and get people low, but in a team fight, when people start at full HP, the hero just doesn't offer the same kind of damage as he used to. Back in the days, his RP did like 2-3 times more damage than it does now, and that was when this hero was like first ban, first pick material, but still good when you can play him and land those big RPs, like we've seen Arise do, as well as the likes of S4, so we'll see if he's got what it takes.
Yep. So we'll move into a pause to get things started. I'm still curious how exactly Empire will set up these lanes. They tend to be a little more traditional with their roles, so Mag will take the Brewmaster, indicating he'll probably be the one headed to the off lane, Resolution on the Invoker mid, and Silent will just farm away with that Void, and there's your support duo. Always want to fly on the Mirana, and solo on the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, I can't imagine them doing anything like an offensive trialing with Silent. They normally just want to guarantee a safe farm. The one thing they may do is like... Often you see those like little cheeky level 1 ganks from the secret shop if Shadow Demon Mirana like camp in the side there, and they can bait Mag on the Brewmaster, get a quick first blood, and then the supports go top. Because Void, he can kind of hold his own versus Tide. He's not going to like. I mean, with that said, it's only like you maybe only have like a minute long 1v1, and then the supports come up zone to Tide out. So that's always a possibility, and something I really like to see the supports do every now and then. You can't do it all the time, otherwise it's too predictable. And but when you do get that kill, it helps out your offlane a ton, and your Void, he hardly suffers for it. Maybe he gets like 3 or 4 CS less or something as a result, but that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, in the initial levels title, he'll get that anchor smash, and that makes Void's life last hitting a little bit more difficult, but he won't die or anything like that unless the Radiant supports rotate, so definitely right on that front. Radiant side, they'll have pretty straightforward lanes as well, it seems. Arise will be headed mid on the Magnus, it'll be the Tide to the off lane, played by Ace, and they'll just have this safe lane try built around the farming Wraith King, I believe, played by Quicks. They're more so consistent stand-in here. And, yep, he'll pick up the Stout Shield. Skywrath grabs the Courier, and, yeah, Blonde will pick up some wards. So it will be a safe lane try, and both teams not doing anything too crazy out of the gate here, Gods. Very standard stuff.
Yep. Ace making his rush to the top lane to try to get a ward down on the Tide, but Empire are going to maybe be there in time to scout him out as far as where he wards, depending where he goes. If he goes to block the pull, he's in trouble. If he just does this close to the trees ward, which is like this is a ward that you don't get spotted planning. So it's the safest ward you can do, but at the same time, Empire could likely guess it's there, although there's actually no sentries on the Empire side.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting. You'd expect at least one set to deal with the pull camp that could be potentially warded.
Yeah.
But
well, they that's partly why they rush top, because you can't actually block the pull camp. Well, they would spot the pull block, so or even be able to just contest it. I think by the time Tide gets there, Shadow Demon's already there, and then Tide just dies. So
right. Well, okay.
I guess they're like, hey, we'll run up and prevent this ward.
And now Tide will actually see this one get put down. He pings it out, so there could be some potential for counter warding on the Radiant side there. But yeah, I guess that's a good point with this duo in particular. A lot of first blood potential with the Disruption Hero, so you got to be extra careful than you would be perhaps against lesser supports.
Begins.
So
I think the Miranda ping right on top of the Tide's ward as well, because they're saying, hey, look, there's a ward here. So, well, at least there could be a ward there. But there was definitely a grey ping on top of where the ward was, so it seems maybe signaling that they know it's warded.
Yeah. Double damage rune picked up by Rise, and he'll smoke up with the Skywrath. This is potentially bad news for Mag on this Brewmaster. Double damage, one of the few runes that you can actually get an easy first blood with, and they have some pretty serious output here. They've got a concussive shot and a magic missile. That's a lot of lockdown for this double damage Venge to commence the right clicks.
This is one of those cases where not having a ward favors Mag in this area, because he doesn't have vision, which means he should be hugging his tower, because you cannot move up. Even if they weren't smoked, you couldn't move up to the lane. So yeah, Mag is going to be playing very far back and shouldn't be getting killed here. If he had a ward, maybe he dies because he's not expecting a smoke. So good news for Mag, he doesn't have a ward.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right about that. The smoke expires, so does the double damage, and that'll be the end of it. Radiant put down an Observer to make sure he doesn't have a ward, and they'll see that he doesn't. So Mag playing very cautiously, leeching just a little bit of experience, doing this exactly the way you want to, and that'll be it. Initial wards coming down in the bottom sector. Dire will get vision of the bottom rune and entryway into the Radiant jungle. I don't know where that other Radiant Observer went. I don't know if they've actually planted it yet.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, still on the Skywrath. So
yeah, let's say no Dire sentries.
Yep. Well, rotation mid already from the Mirana. We'll take the high ground. Always want to fly. Looking to lob an arrow in here towards a Rise. Resolution does have... will be off the mark. A noble effort, but I like that they're already trying to pull these rotations with the Mirana.
Yeah, it's... If Tide plays like smart offlaner should, there's just not going to get any skip kills, although now the Mirana's presence mid lane's being reported, Tide gets a bit more aggressive up here, and I don't think he's ready for the Mirana to have already rotated back top.
Yeah, Soul Catcher comes out on top of the Disruption. Arrow flies through, but it actually misses. Now the Time Walk forward. They still might be able to do some damage to Ace here and secure a kill. They'll body block him, do as much as they can, and they'll get him down to about a third HP. He'll be forced to salve up. So if that arrow had connected, probably good potential for a kill despite the Kraken shell, but just barely missing.
That was a nice dodge. Yeah, the Tide moving forward. If he moved backwards, he still walks into it. So, well played then. Not that looks like it should be an easy arrow because of the setup, but Mirana was far enough away that he would have to like pre-fire the arrow as the disruption was used. Yeah, so you kind of have to guess which way is he going to run, up or down. But down bottom, Mag, he's going to find himself in a sticky wicket as Blonde comes around the backside, opens with a concussive, Arcane Bolt just laying into him. And he does not have a TP scroll, so best he can hope for here is to eat his way through the trees and get some sick jukes going on. He will salve up. It gets canceled. Connects with a Thunderclap onto Blonde, but now the Wraithfire Blast comes out,
And he will be susceptible to the first blood. Blonde gets it. And this is a great start for the Skywrath Mage. Now soon to be level 3, and we'll find plenty of gold for his boots.
Blonde's been really impressive. I've seen it like one of his games in Sanking where he's crashed. That game there was not a... Once he started to salve up, I'm like, okay, he should be fine. But Blonde cut him off, knew where he was going, cancelled like half of the salve as well, and then manages to chase him down. That was actually really nicely played by Blonde there. So
mid lane.
Good first blood for MYM.
Resolution actually gets skewered back from Arise. If that shockwave connects, potential for a kill, but no, he'll regenerate off Ita Tango, and Arise doesn't even go for it. But almost. Now, top lane, looks like they want to set up onto Tide. Nope, just a Soul Catcher comes out, and they won't connect with the arrow once more. But yeah, Rise, giving a Resolution a run for his money. Venge was rotating in and connected with the Magic Missile, and it was a close one.
Yeah, luckily for Empire, that game doesn't work, because already top lane, they've failed to kill Ace twice with the Mirana arrows. They gave up a kill bottom lane. They gave up a kill mid lane. That's all 3 lanes going kind of poorly for Empire. Even though Silent's farming on the Void up top lane, they would much prefer to get kills up lane. This time around though, top.
Yep. This time the arrow will connect. Sunstrike will fly through. Silent comes in, and this should be a kill on Ace. No, maybe not. The Anchor Smash mitigating a lot of damage, and oh, this Tide, he's just too tanky.
That was even unlucky for Tide, because he didn't get a Kraken proc like during the stun duration. So he took the Sunstrike damage. He took like this big 5-second arrow, and no Kraken procs at all. So that was unlucky for Tide, and he still survives, which really goes to show just how durable he is. The 2 points in the Kraken shell paying off there.
Yeah, and then a Sunstrike that was right on the mark as well. That's just... That's rough stuff for Empire. Speaks to the state of this game a little bit. The position ones will both be farming pretty evenly, though. Wraith King and Void within 1 or 2 last hits of each other. And kind of the same thing in the mid lane. Resolution and Arise farming at a pretty comparable rate and number of denies. So an even game across the board, except for that of the offlaners. Tide obviously having a much easier time than Mag. And there's a difference there. Mag is only halfway through level 3 with 3 last hits. And Tidehunter, he's all the way halfway through 4. Has his boots up and with 9 CS. So... that's what's giving MYM a little edge here in the early laning phase.
Yeah, now Tide at top starts getting some little pull-throughs as well, so this top lane for Tide, they dewarded the Empire Observe Ward, although a reward will get put down, so they still have the lane vision of Ace up here, but Tide's been doing a great job of just disrupting this tri lane, not giving up kills, and bottom lane Mag...
they may want to dive this, and yeah, Magic Missile will be there to follow up. They stagger the stuns nicely, and Quicks takes a few tower shots, but well worth it as Blonde gets the second kill of the game up on the board.
MYM are just playing solid Dota. Like you kind of said when we saw the draft, it's like pretty straightforward stuff. They'll do a safe lane, tri lane, they have the Mag mid, Tide just your classic offlaner, but they're just playing that classic draft in a perfect way so far.
Yeah, absolutely. There's very tight. There haven't been too many windows of opportunity for Empire to do much more differently. And part of the problem we talked about in the draft is whoever's going to be on the Dire offlane with this Dire draft is going to be having a big problem. Whether it's Void, whether it's the Brew, there's just no easy way to handle this situation. And Mag dying twice, yeah, I don't know that the Void could have done it much better. Maybe with the Time Walk, he's got a better escape mechanism, but this is going to be rough having a Brewmaster that's kind of more of a liability than anything else. It'll be a long time before he finds his Primal Split, and the Blink Dagger even longer.
Yeah, this is one of those tri lanes that like there's no good offlaners for. Maybe something like the Nature's Prophet where you can pull treants like to your tower or just mess with the creep flow, but any of your standard like Clockwork, Brewmaster type heroes just don't do well there because the lane doesn't get pushed to your tower if they control the creep equilibrium. They pull it back with pulls, with stacks, and
Dire's middle tower
you just can't move yourself up unless you see the supports another lane. Like Ryze is currently mid. Well, I think they can kill Mag even without Ryze. They've got Skywrath, who's level 4.5, but even if Ryze is missing on the map, for all you know, he's bottom lane and trying to kill you. So Ryze has done like a good job just not being shown on the map, spending some time helping out mid, going top, going bottom.
Yeah, this time Arrow will connect following the disruption. Sunstrike's there, and Empire finally get on the board. It's Solo that gets the kill credit on that Shadow Demon. But most importantly, they bring down the Magnus and slow down a Blink Dagger timing on him. So much needed kill coming out for Empire, and of course also helping out the Invoker a bit. Now the supports will just rotate top, and I think they'll try to go on Ace once more, but this time he's level 6, 3 points in Kraken Shell, and he's got a Ravage, so this will not be easy. Soul Catcher comes out.
This does not work.
No disruption. He doesn't have enough mana. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a mistake by Solo or not using the Soul Catcher and not checking his mana, but even with the disrupt into arrow followed by chronosphere, I think Tide lives. He may have to use a Ravage there, but there was I think there was a TP top that got cancelled by MYM as well.
Okay.
So, with a Ravage, they just turned that one around. But either way,
yeah,
MYM pretty safe and secure in their offlane Tidehunter right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Resolution's farm looking a lot better, now pulling way ahead of the Magnus, having some time to free farm in the lane. He will go for a fast Midas, pretty standard in the context of Exort Invokers. Speaking of Midas, Quicks on the Wraith King has gone for one himself, and going for a slightly different take on the Wraith King build, picking up the Mortal Strike early on and opting to skip Vampiric Aura, probably mostly for the lane control, so the creeps don't get that lifesteal and push a little bit more, and a slightly higher damage output. So
yeah, this is more your carry Wraith King build.
Yeah, true carry.
You sometimes see like one value point in the aura, but not even until like level 10 or something. But
yeah,
actually, yeah, there we go. He gets it now at level 8, so he just got his first point in the aura.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's really mostly for lane control more so than anything else, not to give Mag any undue experience, as they did such a good job of zoning him out. He is now finding his level 4, but as we mentioned, Tide, soon to be 7, as a big wave shoves into his tower. That's a growing gap, and 17 last hits on Ace means he'll be looking towards a Blink Dagger pretty quick if that's going to be his first item of choice.
Yeah, Quicks is actually holding his skill point. I thought he was just maybe getting stat points to help just give him some more mana pool. But he's actually holding on to the skill points, which is kind of cool to see, because the Mortal Strike sometimes can mess up your last hit if you're using it just to like lifesteal a bit. But yeah, he's doing really well as far as his farm goes. He's doing fantastic, and probably going to go into the Blink Dagger. Maybe goes for the Blade Mail against this kind of a lineup. Otherwise, we just see that kind of Blink Maelstrom build, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of your standard carry Wraith King. Lots of damage output there, and with the Midas, he has a lot of attack speed, so also synergizes very nicely with all those chain lightnings that'll start bouncing around. It is a double Midas coming out for Empire, though. Void will be a little delayed in his timing, but picks it up nonetheless, so off to a pretty slow game to get things started for our day of Starladder gods. 3 Midas in the first 10 minutes. So I think it might be a farm fest.
Yeah, it looks that way. I think MYM right now, they're farming stacks. Mag is almost getting up to his Blink Dagger now. I guess waiting for his Blink. I was about to say Arise could maybe go looking for kills with the supports, using his using RP even for solo kills at this point is well worth it. But there's no openings to do so, not until he gets his Blink up. So yeah, Arise just wants to sit back, farm Blink, and then once he gets Blink, he'll probably go for a solo kill either on Invoker or Void.
All right, Chronosphere up top onto Ace. Arrow from outside will follow up, and this time they'll bring down the Tide, and he won't even get a chance to Ravage. So the Chronosphere is all you need, apparently, to bring down the farm Tide, and well, they'll be successful in that play. Yeah. Nice setup and a much-needed kill.
Time Lock being magical damage makes Tide kind of sad there.
Yeah, and he's actually maxed out Time Walk. He's a 2-1-4 build right now. So
it's the smart build to go this game. It does magic damage, and you do double damage Time Locks in Chronosphere, so suddenly Tide is actually not that tanky. So all the extra attack speed from the Midas and the Treads, and you put Tide in the Chronosphere, and those bashes just crush the Tidehunter. So smart build from the Void, although I think it's becoming fairly standard to max Time Lock and Time Walk. Like, we often don't even see a single point of the backtrack, as we've kind of commented on a few times.
Yeah, I like that Silent will at least go for the value point, gets that 10% dodge. But yeah, you're definitely right. We've seen more and more frequently Time Lock becoming the prioritized spell. The Blink Dagger on Arise has come out. A great timing for the Magnus. Did pick up Bottle and Arcane Boots first, so right around that 11-minute mark is not too shabby. Brewmaster will take some farm priority in the mid lane here. He's only level 5, but uh-oh, he'll get skewered back into the tower. Tide's there with an Anchor Smash, and, well, see you later, Mag.
He looked left bottom lane. He's like, dude, I can't even get my level 6 bottom. He's level 5, 12 minutes in, so he's like, okay, mid lane. I'll have a Shadow Demon behind me so I can't die, and I can get my level 6. Shadow Demon's not even going to leech XP. But no, Mag says, I'm going to get you. Oh man.
Boy. That poor guy. Resolution does have an invisibility rune on, though, and will rotate down bottom. Rise is coming around the backside of the tower, which is taking quite a bit of damage. There is a glyph available for Empire if they want to try to make a hold, or perhaps just secure a deny. There is a set of Forge Spirits coming out. The Resolution just going to try to time the last hit appropriately. Will be off the mark. The arrow just barely whizzes by Quicks, and he will grab the last hit on the tower. So now all of a sudden this Wraith King is damn farmed. Fast Midas, tower kill, and right into the blink.
This is a dead Mag.
Oh, Mag, you silly goose. still cannot find his level 6. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, though, Solo, he gets skewered over. Will take an anchor smash, and Arise will be able to just bring him down as the disruption comes out. Empire
was
is under
used.
attack.
Oh,
bottom
now
lane.
down bottom. Yeah, always want to fly. He'll get stunned, swapped, and another easy kill. MYM just rack up 3 kills around the map.
Empire, like you say, I mean, you say it's a bit of a farm game, and that's definitely what Empire are playing. MYM, though, they just got their Blink Daggers up. They got Blink on Wraith King, Blink on Mag, and this punishes this farming gameplay of Empire really badly. Now mid lane, they've got a Blink Skewer onto Resolution. He's dead as well. They've got no defensive capabilities for these Blink Daggers, and that's where playing this farm game works for the first 10 minutes, but not anymore.
Yeah, and this is even without Tide using a single Ravage. So they haven't even really hit their full stride in terms of team fights and damage output. It's just been pretty straightforward initiations. Hop forward, skewer back, or initiates with stuns.
Yeah.
This is getting scary very quickly. Once they force a team fight and really hit their mark with all these big ultimates, I don't know how Empire are going to handle it. They just need to try to minimize their losses and wait for these Midases to start to kick in. It's already about a 2,500 gold, 3,000 experience lead for MYM. And I don't know. What do you do here to start regaining momentum? Is it just about getting up some wards and finding space in the jungle so your Void can farm up?
I think you might want to get your Void involved. Like, get him active in this game. I'm really surprised by this Yasha purchase.
Whoa.
I do not agree with this at all. I guess the Mask of Madness, he's worried about being too squishy in the Chronosphere, and if he gets like Mystic Flare or something. But hey, you're a huge movement speed in the Chronosphere, so I guess he wants... I mean, there's so many projectile stuns, you can actually Manta dodge them. So Manta's really nice against the Wraith Fire Blast, the Magic Missile.
Yeah, they will go in on to Ace in the top lane. And, oh, a nice swap from Rise. Will get him caught by the the Sunstrike flying through, but he does fall. Ace survives. Now he'll be able to turn around onto Solo. Rise comes in. Skewer back onto Obi's Wanna Fly. It's a 1 for 2 as they set up a kill on just the support Vengeful Spirit. And that's the reason you draft Avenge against Faceless Void. You can keep your cores alive and play that Sacrificial Lamb.
+1 Blink. Tide now has his Blink as well. Silence going to be very careful here. He's farming a little mini camp here. Blink Wraith Fire Blast is available, but he's kind of hard to latch onto in the nighttime fog.
Yeah, top tier 1 tower will take a little bit of chip damage, but MYM more interested in mid lane. They'll go in for a solo RP onto Resolution, skewer back, and it's just an easy kill. They all rotate forward, keep their tower alive. It will move into deny range, and they'll be happy to deny it straight away. MYM, as you mentioned before, just playing good Dota. Great rotations. They seem to be on the same point, defending towers, making split-second decisions, and everything just kind of going their way. Quicks will continue pressuring the tier 1 up top. Has a Blink Dagger, and it will be needed to come off cooldown in just a few seconds. Will juke the Shadow Poison, and now he'll be able to make the escape.
Dire's top tower has been
Tower gets denied, but he's happy. There was not much point contesting the tower deny. If he goes for it, good chance it gets denied anyways with the disruption available, and even higher chance that he dies, even with the reincarnation. Could just die twice, so play it safe. No need to give Empire any money there. Empire doesn't get any money out of the tower deny. There's still money going in MYM's pockets when they're far ahead. Have triple Blink Daggers up. Their initiation potential is scary. Max level 6, but it's such a late 6. Like, what's he actually going to do with this? He's not... I guess he's starting to get closer to a Blink Dagger, but stuff like Anchor Smash is just going to negate his Primal Split damage to a large extent as well.
Yeah, the big problem is he's halfway to the Blink Dagger, but it's all unreliable gold that he's got. So if Empire take a bad team fight, or if he gets caught in a skewer, an RP, or just a Ravage, a couple of kills will really set him back in terms of that timing. He's already 0 and 4, and there's just no space for him to farm. That's the other big issue. So even though he's partway there, still think it's going to be a pretty long time coming before the Blink actually comes out onto the field. Resolution has now gone for Necrobook, has Necronomicon level 1, so at least starting to come online a little bit, but still very susceptible to this aggressive potential of MYM, who are just posturing around the bottom rune, looking for the right angle to initiate, and looks like they'll try to find it behind the tier 1 tower mid. Ace, eager for a Ravage here, and I think they just want to keep picking on Mag. He's the weak one, so kind of makes you a target where it's like, well, who's the easy kill? Let's go for the Brewmaster.
Yeah, and they know they can force his tower so easily with all these Blink initiations. Anyone who comes near the tower to defend could get Blink Stun, Blink, using Ravage, Skewer, RPs, whatever it may be. There's so much team type potential. Empire's just got the Chronosphere. In theory, they could defend with a Chrono Sunstrike, kill off 1, but every time they're doing this, they're having these bad trades. Last time we saw top lane, it was a 1 for 2 trade, and that's all you could really expect from trying to defend the mid tower, I imagine.
Yeah. Wraith King only with the last hit on this
Radiant's
mid-tier
bottom
1, so that's
tower
2
is under
tower
attack.
kills going his way. It'll be more than enough gold to finish off his Maelstrom, so he's really starting to come online,
Dire's
following the
middle
blink,
tower
but now
is
the
under
right
attack.
clicks are really adding up.
Radiant's
Here we
bottom
go.
tower
Arise goes in. RP on 2, skewers him back. Ravage to follow up, and 2 very quick kills. Solo and Mag don't even have time to react to that. 2 big ultimates burned, but that's 2 kills secured.
Tower is under attack.
Yeah, nicely played there. Now they can defend their
Radiant's
towers.
bottom
Unfortunately, a little bit too
tower
late for the
has
bottom tower. Top one's healthy enough; it should be okay though.
And
Oh, Wraith King, what?
Wix, he doesn't
Mana
have the
burn.
mana for reincarnation.
Ah, the Necrobooks. Nicely played by Invoker there. That's the kind of
Radiant's
plays
top tower is under
that
attack.
Empire are going to need more of to get back in this game. Now it's a Necro 3 as well for resolution.
Yeah.
Empire are by no means out of this game. Like they're MYM are taking towers, they're getting kills here and there, but a very farmed Void, a very farmed Invoker exist, and these heroes are going to start to really take off. Resolution already level 14 at the moment.
Chronosphere on Blonde up top secures a kill, and that'll be a streak ended going the way of the Shadow Demon. But still a nice kill for Empire. They have to burn a
Radiant's bottom
Chronosphere,
tower
but they
is
make
under
it happen.
attack.
Void will just hang on to a casual Yasha for now and move right into a Black King bar. Now, Demonic Purge out onto Rise. Time walk forward, stacking up the Shadow Poisons, but Tide is there. Connects with an Anchor Smash before he gets disrupted. Sunstrike will fly through, not even necessary. Vengeful Spirit's already gone down. Ace looking for a potential return kill, but just can't find it by himself without the Ravage, and will be forced to retreat. He will, however, complete his mech and just gets delivered right now.
Okay, well, this... I don't. The mech's nice for pushing towers and all, but they're kind of pushing towers uncontested regardless. I'll actually find another pick off Solo. Not sure what he was doing there. Bit of an aggressive position to be in there.
Blonde finds some vengeance there following his death.
Yeah. Well, for Empire, like I like the game. Their game plan right now is solid. Like Resolution is just gonna stay around this bottom lane and the enemy jungle. It's a pretty safe place to be farming as well as important pressure onto MYM. They have to keep defending bottom lane when they want to be taking objectives, taking towers, and this has created enough space for Mag to get his Blink Dagger up. Void is pretty sustainable in his own, farming top lane, farming the safe lane jungle, so Empire just being really efficient with their farming between Silent as well as Resolution. They're kind of keeping up pretty well with MYM. It's actually almost dead even on the gold graph, so as much as it looked like MYM are doing really well, they're not really at that snowballing point. They're farming well, they're getting ganks, they're getting towers, but Empire are doing enough with their 2 core heroes that they're kind of on par with MYM.
Yeah, exactly. It is a little bit scary seeing it so top heavy, though. It puts a lot of pressure on Resolution and Silent to make the big plays and not get caught out. If we get in a scenario where they get picked off from an RP Ravage and they don't have buyback gold, that's where MYM can just trash the rest of Empire. But conversely, if Empire get the initiations they want, then it may not even be an issue. Speaking of initiation, down bottom, Rise will be the target from Solo, but he has to force himself into a defensive disruption and will make the escape as Moonlight Shadow comes out. But there's a Radiant Sentry down, as always want to fly, moves into the tree line, looking for Rise. Mag coming down, looking for a Primal Split perhaps. Will connect with the Thunderclap and will take a stun, but still Vengeful Spirit will fall. Now Rise skewering in, will find an RP on 2, Mystic Flare on top of him, and Brewmaster and the Mirana will pay for the kill on the support Vengeful Spirit.
Roshan has
I like how
fallen
Arise
to the
even went for
tower.
the third. He tried to skewer the SD back into those 2 heroes to get a 3-man RP. Didn't hit the skewer, but it was still nice to see him go for such a play. And well, even though I don't think it was actually that close, but it was the idea that's kind of cool to see. He's not content with the 2-man RP and the easy 2 kills. He wants the third. And MYM, well, while that was happening, there was a Roshan taken by the Invoker. You solo that so easily with the Forward Spirits, the Necro 3s, Alacrity. You can't really do too much about that. You can't be constantly like scouting Roche, and you want to be elsewhere on the map, applying pressure, going for kills. So that's kind of one of those unavoidable, just dire side things that happens.
Yep. So it makes that trade a little bit better for Empire, where it's a 2-for-1, but that sort of distracted MYM, created a little bit of space, if you will, for the Invoker to get the solo Roche. So not all bad for Empire, and actually if you look at the gold graph, it's a net worth gain for Empire following that.
Yeah.
So definitely not all bad.
MYM is still doing stuff right. They pick up the gem on the Magnus. They're going to try to get map control. Also make sure they have the detection for the Moonlight Shadow. But just having map control is going to help them a lot here.
Yeah. Here's
Void's
the
got
Manta.
Manta. So.
Yep. So like you mentioned, a lot of projectiles that you can disjoint. So there's
that seems the main thing, because otherwise, if there's like a Wraith Fire Blast or a Magic Missile coming at you, you don't want to have to use a BKB out of fear of being chain stunned. Like if you have a BKB and that first stun lands, the second stun comes and then you die before getting a chance to BKB. It means he can Manta off the first stun and then wait to see if he needs to BKB. Because otherwise you see one stun coming at you and you're like, well, are they going to kill me or am I going to be okay? Do I need a BKB? The Manta style just gives them that nice bit of flexibility.
Yep. Absolutely agreed. So Empire will rotate up top. It could be a 5v5 engage breaking out for the first time in this match. Smoke from Empire as they press forward. Mag, the first one to initiate, but will get silenced. Defensive Disruption comes out, and the Moonlight Shadow Ravage used by Ace connects on 3. They'll bring down the Brewmaster with a Mystic Flare. Now Silent around the backside will find the Chronosphere, but another nice swap from Rise will get hit by the Sunstrike, and they'll bring him down, but that's exactly what MYM wanted. Now they'll go in and finish off the Mirana, and Silent on the back foot. BKB's expired. Ace doing the damage that he can, but they won't be able to bring him down, at least not quite yet. Arise is there as he blinks over the tree line. RP on 1 that push him into a Silent, and it's a huge team fight for MYM. A 1-for-3 trade, and they're not done quite yet. They want more. They see Solo moving into the tree line. He has no TP and little hope of surviving this one.
Spend your money, Solo. 1,000 gold. He's going to lose 300 of it. He'll spend his money there, but it's small things. You're not always 100% focused and make some of those mistakes.
Oof.
Yeah, Resolution got out of there fast. He's like, guys, I'm going bottom lane. This fight's not going well for us, and they're going to lose the tier 2 top, it looks like, as well. Chronosphere will be on cooldown when Void respawns, so MYM, despite not being ahead as far as the gold goes, they've got this nice farm distribution and all their key items up. Their team fight's just so much scary. Even if Brewmaster gets off a good ultimate, I just don't see it winning Empire fight.
Yeah. He has yet to Primal Split. I mean, oh, Mag, he can't get anything done. He's 0-7-1, and at this point, I mean, what do you do if you're Mag at this point, Gods? If you're coaching Empire, what is your directive for this Brewmaster?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is, well, I don't think this is necessarily the directive, but I think kind of what happened last fight where he dies by getting an ultimate isn't always a bad thing. If he's baiting a lot of spells and getting burst down, because Void can't really initiate him. MYM are not going to be grouped up for like a Chronosphere that wins Empire a fight, so the only hero they have to initiate is Mag, and chances are he's going to get silenced, he's going to get burst down. So I think Mag dying so Void can get off a good Chronosphere is actually not too bad. At this point in the game, he's so far behind, he should basically be bait. He's going to feed, and you hope the Void and the Invoker can win you the fight. I think that's kind of the plan. Ideally, he gets off an ultimate, but I don't think you can rely on that, because the only way I see him getting off an ultimate is if someone other than the Brewmaster engages, which I just don't think. Void doesn't have the damage or the items to be the one going in first.
Okay, I like that.
So his plan is to feed, which is definitely a bad sign for Empire.
Yeah, well, that's certainly true. Wraith King will secure his Mjolnir now, following that BKB pickup, as we saw in the last fight. He's also level 17, which is a potential cause for concern. I suppose the Invoker is 17 as well, so they're farming about evenly with those early Hands of Midas, and Resolution will actually go for a Black King bar of his own. The Magic Immunity coming out all over the place, 2 on the Dire side, 1 on the Radiant. And Rise has picked up a Vitality booster. I wonder if that'll end up being a Rod of Atos.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Oh, we'll hold that thought. Is up top. Ravage from Ace. Connects on 1. Silent's able to BKB it, but they bring down Resolution. That'll proc the Aegis. Silent manages to get off the Chronosphere and connects with quite a few. Going for a Rise. Arrow flying through and will connect on just Rise, and that secures the kill on the Faceless Void. They lose their Magnus in the fray. Now Rise on the back foot will be going down, and what can Quicks do? Still has an ultimate available, and instead of killing him, they just ignore him and lock him into Tornado. Now pops the Mjolnir buff on himself, and maybe looking to turn and try and make something happen. Mag goes in on him, and he will go down for the first time. It looks like arrows off the mark, but still doing a lot of damage before he falls. Now Ace comes forward, Quicks comes right back up. They'll bring down the Brewmaster. Resolution will be able to Ghost Walk to safety, but the support splitting directions, just trying to mount an escape. Always want to fly, will leap over the tree line. Uh-oh, there's a watermelon on the other side of those trees.
They want their gem back.
And can they bring him down? Yep, and they will secure their gem.
Oh, it didn't get the gem. Okay, no, it's there on the ground.
Yeah.
He's trying to pick up the gem on the courier, but couldn't quite do it there, so.
Yeah.
Don't leave that gem behind. That courier's coming back.
Uh-oh. No, Blonde scoops it up. Okay. Phew. Close call. So yet another good team fight for MYM. I like the idea from Empire to just try and lock down Quicks and ignore him instead of bringing down the ultimate right away, but once Wraith King hits this kind of critical mass, you can't quite do that for the entire fight. Eventually you run out of crowd controls, and then he just starts going ham all over your team.
The BKB was a smart pickup. It means, they, like you said, they can't focus him down like the Invoker maybe wants to do with this Necrobook, because you can kill him and deny the reincarnation with the Necrobook. The mana burn with some lockdown is enough that you can kind of burn through his mana so he doesn't have reincarnation, but the BKB prevents that. So good item choice pickup. I think otherwise he probably, if it wasn't for the Necrobook, I don't think he would even get this BKB, but it's reason enough, and hey, there's a lot of damage output from the Invoker anyways, which is kind of like a nice added perk.
Yeah. So MYM still in pretty good shape. It looked like Empire were going to start to close the gap, but MYM were right there, and now still a 5,000 gold lead, about 7,500 experience as they keep taking good team fight after good team fight. Magnus getting close to a refresher orb, has Oblivion Staff and the recipe picked up, and just looking to pull up that gold for his Perseverance, which will be very scary for Empire. He's already been on point with these single RPs. Double RP is going to be something difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and MYM not going to like let up here. They're going for another added tail. This T2 bottom
Dire's
pretty low
bottom
already, and I think Empire should just be letting it go, but Solo, what are you doing there? In true 3-2-2 fashion, he's giving up a freebie.
Good question, yeah. Ooh, Quicks almost gets hit by the arrow, but will sidestep it. And not only do they get a free tower, but they get a little freebie there on that support. So Quicks will now have 4,000 gold following that. That furthers his net worth by a huge mark. Wow, he's 4,000 up on the Void now, who was actually just about, him and the Invoker were even with the Wraith King, and now he's really pulling ahead. What has he picked up here for his next item? It will be the Basher. So it looks like he'll just go right into the Abyssal Blade.
Yeah, and he's going to be hitting hard in these fights with the Empower from the Mag as well, giving him bonus damage. Bit of cleave damage as well. The cleave's not the biggest deal in the world. Does help maybe just clear off some annoying summons. You can fight the Necrobooks, cleave through, do damage to stuff like the Fire Spirits as well. So it's kind of nice, but it's just like a small little added bonus more than anything. But
yeah. So here's an interesting pickup from the Void, and got to give a little shout out to Zai. He was in chat as soon as we saw that Yasha. He said Manta Diffusal is very good against the core Wraith King. And boy, was he right. The mana burn, and you can disjoint the stun from him as well as the stuns from the Venge and everyone else that we talked about. So I guess sort of a typical build in the context of a Void versus a core Wraith King, but certainly not something you see every day.
Yeah, the BK. If you get the BKB off, you're okay. But this, like you say, he can just straight up Chronosphere the Wraith King, and Wraith King maybe doesn't get time to pop his BKB, or if he does, you don't focus him. You focus someone else in the Chronosphere. So yeah, I like the adaptation from the Void. This is a build, and we talked about how much net worth this Wraith King has. If you can kill him in the Chronosphere to start the fight probably doesn't go well for MYM. At this point, Tide and Mag will not win them the fights alone with their ultimate. They don't have huge amounts of damage. Maybe with the Skywrath Mystic Flare, there is some solid damage output, but they need that Wraith King alive. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, the net worth was lopsided for the Dire, but now it's more so for the Radiant, with Wraith King really topping the charts. We'll see a rotation towards the pit. Empire all spread out. Silent may get initiated on here, and needs to be careful. If he takes a silence from that Skywrath, he could definitely fall, but the chain of 4 stabs with the Time Walk will secure his safety, and both teams just kind of posturing around the pit. Roche isn't even up yet, but both sides want to be in a position to take him out when he respawns.
Yeah. The one worry about the plan to kill the Wraith King is that there is a Venge, so you can always swap the Wraith King out of that Chronosphere. Rise is only level 10 at the moment, so just the level 1 swap. But once he hits level 11 is going to be pretty important, so...
Ooh, refresher comes out on Magnus. Perfect timing here. MYM may be well advised just to back out and try and bait Empire into the pit so they can look for one of these big RPs or skewer them out. I feel like MYM just have a huge advantage fighting in this tight-knit little area here. But Silent goes in, just uses the Chronosphere onto the Wraith King, as we talked about. There's the Ravage from outside of the pit. He doesn't have the mana burn to stop the reincarnation, but will bring down the Wraith King for the first time. Now always want to fly, taking damage, leaps out of the Mystic Flare, and the Primal Split will go off. BKB used by Quicks, but he'll take a Demonic Purge, and he's not able to really do that much damage here. We'll just settle for clearing up some Necro units, and that will be the end of the Tide Hunter. Now Arise going for solo off to the side. Brew will go back into Panda form. Quicks blinks forward. Will hit him with a stun, and this will be a kill onto the Brewmaster. So ends up being a 1 for 2, no buybacks deployed. Meanwhile, on the other side, Arise finds a solo kill on the Shadow Demon, and it will be a successful team fight for MYM once more.
Yeah, it's really tough for Empire. Whoever engages... Like, the Void engages, he can't get off a great Chronosphere. He didn't really do much with that, and they're going to catch Resolution. They'll use an RP on him, refreshes it immediately, doesn't need the second RP, but just wants to start that refresher cooldown, and that's another kill. So, for Empire, the team fights are hard. If Void's the one initiating, he doesn't get off a great Chronosphere, because MYM don't group up, they're swapped, there's so much to counter it. So all he does in that Chronosphere is get rid of Reincarnation. The one good thing that comes out of Void initiating is it means Brewmaster gets off an ultimate. But the Brewmaster ultimate gets Empire 1 kill and that's it. So that's where I feel Brewmaster should be the one engaging. Even if he doesn't get off the ultimate, it's more likely Void gets off a good Chronosphere. But either way, it's kind of like we're seeing Empire have bad results. And now their tier 3 towers fallen, possibly their Raxes as well.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like they need to wait for this Wraith King to at least use one stun to burn some of that mana, or Void just simply can't burn it fast enough. This time they'll use a Necro unit, and they will be able to bring him down despite the cooldown being available. That's what I'm talking about, is now Rise gets initiated on, will get left behind, and it's a 2-0 as Empire do keep their barracks standing. They lost their tier 3 tower, get a couple of recovery kills, but still a very small victory given the huge defeat they took just moments prior.
Well, they'll get themselves a Roshan out of it as well, so another nice thing going their way. Level 2 Diffusal Blade already upgraded from Silent, and with this kind of a build, he kind of does need that next item on top of all this, because his damage just isn't that great. Like, he can kill the Wraith King and Chronosphere or something, but he needs to be able to fight maybe outside of that. So getting closer to that, well, kind of closer to that next item. Doesn't have the space with the Aegis until he sells his Midas, but if Empire can hold on to their Raxes over the next few minutes and just not lose a team fight too horribly to like the Refresher Mag and Tide Ravage, I think they're still in this one with a shot.
They certainly still have a chance, but they're running out of safety structures, I guess you could say. All the outer towers are down, only 2 tier 3 standing, so maybe 1 or 2 more failed team fights, and Empire will be very quickly running out of options. Mag will now move into Vladimir's offering. Smart choice, helps the team tank up a little bit and gets a little bit of extra damage out on the Void. Anytime you have a melee carry, that lifesteal does help him out just a little bit. Other item progression, the Abyssal Blade has actually been picked up on the Wraith King. Ace has now found a Shiva's Guard on the Tide Hunter. And Vengeful Spirit, nothing else following this Vitality booster. I thought it may be an Atos, but pulling up about 2,700 gold. I'm curious what he's got in mind here.
Vib Booster, like one of those casual items you sometimes just buy because it's like such cost-effective HP. But
yeah, still with 2,700 gold. I wonder what the bench is looking for coming up next.
Casual Vlad's is always good this late in the game for the aura. Rise, he messed up. He goofed. They were smoked up, and he accidentally attacked the Forge Spirits. It was attack moving, I think, up the high ground, and he goofed a little bit. But Smoke ain't not going to achieve much of that. Oh, maybe.
The jig is up, but always want to fly. I guess he wasn't paying attention. He'll get 1,100 crit. So there you go. Easy one for the Wraith King.
I think he thought it was just standing in position where he would see the Smoke Gank coming, and he could leap into the trees and TP out, but I like what Quix did. He blinked into Abyssal Blade rather than blink stun, because the stun with the projectile could maybe be dodged, so goes for the Abyssal, which is the insta-stun instead.
Yep. Wraith King getting pretty powerful. That M-Power, man. 1,100 crits. That really hurts.
I wonder what his next item is. If he goes for like some kind of an intel item to deal with the mana burn, like go for a Hex, go for a Skadi, boost up your mana pool just so you have a better chance of not dying without your reincarnation going off.
Top lane, solo, he'll get silenced, force stabbed, and there's a Mystic Flare to finish him off. So back-to-back kills on the Dire supports as they fall once more. Speaking of Scythe, though, Resolution has now grabbed one on the Invoker, so that's actually a pretty big item pickup for Empire.
Yeah, that's going to help him out quite a lot. Ideally, they want to be trying to kill off a Rise on the Magnus to start a fight, take out that team fight element. But I mean, whoever you go on, there's someone else with a big team fight spell. There's a Tide Ravage, there's a Venge Swap to save him, there's a Wraith King blinking in, doing the 1,100 crits, so I don't know where the winning comes from Empire as far as the team fight's concerned, but
yeah.
For now, I think the right idea is like keep all these lanes pushed out and just play this kind of only team fight if we have to save our Rexes style of play.
Yeah. Silence now up to 3,700 gold on the Void. He has moved into the level 2 Diffusal Blade for that extra bit of feedback and some better stats as well. What is he looking for next, though? He'll have to sell that Midas or wait for the Aegis to expire. But could just move into a Daedalus if he wants some raw right-click. Mjolnir might not be a bad choice if he wants a little bit of magic damage. But we'll see what he moves into.
Yeah, we'll see what it's going to be. Right now, possible dewarding. Yeah, the MYM just, once again, want to maintain their map control here. They've taken out everything except one of Empire's wards, which is kind of hard to deward spot because it's on top of a cliff, but at the same time, it's also not a very useful spot necessarily at this stage of the game. You don't really need that rune vision as much anymore.
Yeah. I was thinking Void could just go Daedalus for big damage, but he almost just wants to go for attack speed and have smaller swings so that he gets more mana burns off on this Wraith King, if that's the strategy they're going for.
Allies disappear.
Yeah, well, we'll
Moonlight
see what
Shadow.
Empire... Yeah.
This is going to be an odd initiation. They're split into packs of 2 on the side of Empire, and they've got Shadow Demon defending the base, so they'll be safe for now, but Arise, I think, is still holding the gem. Yeah, he certainly is. So they need to be very cautious about how they do this. Arise is also hasted up. It will expire. Moonlight Shadow is also expired. Silent in the tree line. They'll catch Solo off to the side. As I'm looking at this initiation, Silent goes in. They find Blind. He'll go down straight away. It's a 1-for-1 out of the gate, but Ace, he gets caught in the side of the Chrono. A beautiful swap will keep him alive. He'll get turned into a piggy. Can he live to get off the Ravage? Shivas comes out first, and he won't Ravage. But the rest of the fight will start to look a little bit more grim for Silent as Quicks. Oh no, he blinks into the tree line. He just falls a bit short as Silent does survive and makes it back. The Aegis expires in just about a minute. That's a cancel casted RP, so not a wasted cooldown, but Vengeful Spirit will solo off. Always want to fly. Off to the side there. Quicks totally stuck in the tree line. That is just so unfortunate. Meanwhile, off to the side. Arise and Silent. Can he get the kill? Oh! 16 hit points.
He whiffed the RP as well. He went for the second RP on the Void to kill him, and he whiffed it completely. Silent went back in and fought him, and the bashes are real. That was something. That not often do you see Arise miss an RP.
Yeah, Empire making it out of that team fight with a lot of low health heroes that they all survive. That was a close one, and I thought it might work against Empire being split up into those small packs to start off the fight, but it actually worked well for him. It made Wraith King's life a lot more difficult, but blinking into the tree line is really what secured his fate there. Just nowhere to go, and once they scouted him out, no way to get that Blink Dagger off cooldown until he died the first time. And that just created so much space for Empire. The trees being the most effective form of crowd control there.
Oh man, so much went wrong for him in that fight. That was definitely by far the worst, the Wraith King blink. But Tide blinked into the Chronosphere. He was trying to blink Anchor Smash the Void, I think, by blinking over the Chronosphere and being just on the edge and catching Void inside. But he blinked just a little too close, got caught inside as a result. Doesn't die in the Chronosphere, but dies afterwards to the Invoker damage. And aside from the Tide, well, then the Mag missed RP as well. So 3 really big things going wrong. 2 bad blinks from the Tide as well as the Wraith King, and then Mag missing the RP on the Faceless Void.
Yep. So that semi-successful fight for Empire, at least kind of a break-even, will yield a positive exchange for the Void, and he now finds a full Butterfly. So going for some attack speed, but now his damage is quite potent. And MYM don't really have much to deal with the evasion, if anything. Obviously, no MKBs out. That may be something that Quicks will want to invest in with his next item choice. He does have 6,000 gold. And
I
no
think he'd
hexes.
almost rather go for a Hex. Like,
Yeah.
you get a Hex, you can deal with it, but...
Right.
What's he bought? He's going MKB. Okay, so he'll get the MKB, but like during Hex you negate the evasion as well, but
Yeah.
MKB obviously more damage, but I just want to, like, if he doesn't get off a reincarnation of fight and dies, that could just be straight up lost fight for MYM is the main scary thing.
Yeah, definitely. It was an Aghanim Scepter, though, picked up on the Vengeful Spirit. So now we've got really long-range swaps here coming up on a 10-second cooldown. So soon to be level 16. I play through 14, but allows the swapping of non-hero units is one of the other things that you get. So Venge can do some rather creative stuff, I guess, swapping out creeps, but it's really more so just to extend that cooldown of swapping people in and out of the Chronosphere, and some big potential. Not an item you get to see a Vengeful Spirit farm up too often, so big hopes here for Rise to do some work.
Yeah, well, we'll see. MYM smoked up, not really finding too much. I think just hoping to use Quicks as bait, because they know that Empire could theoretically actually engage on him using the Mana Burn to try to kill him off, so an interesting idea, but it looks like Empire nowhere to be seen as far as his top lane's concerned.
Yeah, Solo will TP out. A little bit of a close call there, but he does live. Magnus picks up another gem. I think that, yeah, Dyer got the gem from the last fight, and they're not even carrying it around. They'll just leave it in the base. So Magnus will grab a new one, and they need to be, well, they'll not get caught off guard by Moonlight Shadow. I think a smart choice at this stage of the game. But they've got everything ready. Double RP, Ace with a level 3 Ravage, ready to rock and roll, and MYM will just move towards the top lane.
Empire's just looking a lot more solid now. There's the main problem. Mag's about to hit level 16. He's going to have a BKB as well, so Mag can actually finally engage and do something in a fight with a BKB in level 16.
Yeah, he doesn't have it quite yet, though. Solo will die before this fight even breaks out. Empire a little bit slow to TP back to the base, and MYM just positioning themselves very cautiously here. Obviously baiting with Quicks in the front lines, hoping that he'll be the one to get initiated on. They can swap him out, follow up with a Ravage RP. And they will find a tier 3 tower. Silent comes in onto Quicks. The swap. Where's the swap? It's not coming.
And got the reincarnation off, though.
Yeah, he did get the reincarnation. BKB ready. There's the RP. Connects on Silent. And a couple of the primals. They'll just Abyssal Blade him. And Silent will go down. Ravage from Ace to follow up. Looks like that'll secure the kill onto Always Wanna Fly. Tries to leap to safety, but it won't be enough. Void will have a buyback, and he'll burn it straight away, but no Chronospheres. We saw it used already. There's your second RP. This one's onto Silent. Skewer back towards the rest of the team. The follow-up is there. Mag goes down as he goes back into brew form. Silent will get locked down. Time walks away, but they've got plenty of follow-up damage here. The swap from Venge puts him in a worse position. Uses the Manta. Is it enough? It doesn't look like it. Magic Missile. The slow and the silence. He's going to go down. That's a dieback for the Void, and now Empire on their last leg. They've already used their glyph, and all 5 of MYM still alive.
Yeah, and reincarnation back in 10 seconds as well. Quicks is going to get the melee top, get the melee mid, and they can't deal with him. They've got no mana burn to prevent this reincarnation. This guy is just king of the castle right now. He's the ultimate raid boss, and Empire don't have the damage for him.
Yep, they'll bring him down, but there it is. Reincarnation once more. Yeah, Moonlight Shadow is deployed quick. We'll take a long-range arrow from Always Wanna Fly as he comes back up. They really want to commit for the barracks in the mid, but the swap from Rise will keep Quicks alive. And Rise, will he live? The negative urn stacking up on top of the poison, but 40 hit points, just enough to keep him alive as the rest of MYM look to reinitiate. Void is still dead, so they can afford to be a bit aggressive here as long as they're a little bit careful. I think they can take a 5
reincarnation. He could have another reincarnation before Void's even alive if they want to. They've got no Ravage, no Mag ultis, which is why they're playing a little safe, but even so, there goes Wraith King.
And here we go. Quicks will get turned into a Piggy. Another swap from Rise with that 10-second cooldown, using it to much avail. Tide in the front lines will pop the mech. There's the split from the Brewmaster once more. Empire have already lost their melee racks mid, so MYM could just look to disengage here. Quicks doesn't have an ultimate up for another 5 seconds. Rise will swap him out once more and does take the Sunstrike. 1 second. Oh, he just can't find it. And he will go down. Now, finally, MYM will get punished for their hyper-aggression. Rise takes an arrow to the face. He'll go down, and MYM will be completely repelled, but at a very grave cost here, gods. Empire's base in shambles.
They goofed again. They didn't need to rush it so much. They could have waited for reincarnation as well as reverse polarity. They had 2 big ultimates up in about 15-20 seconds time, and Void was still going to be dead. They could have waited for those, then got the Raxes. Instead, they went anyways. Venge had to use swap to save the Wraith King again and again, and Venge dies as a result, and then Wraith King dies anyways. So Empire, they're still down top Raxes as well as the melee and mid. They're going to get an Aegis though, so they're still in this game, but the big problem is they can't really push out at the moment. MYM is still farmed enough. They've still got the double RP, they've still got the Tide Ravage, and they've actually got Refresher on Tide if he wants to buy it. So even though that was a mistake from MYM to linger around so long, they're still in a fantastic position. They've got double ultis on 2 big heroes. They're going to have Wraith King back alive soon, so definitely still heavily favored towards MYM.
Yeah, but now the BKB is here on Mag. Invoker will find himself some of that Roshan Cheddar. And Silent, he'll be the one to grab the Aegis of the Immortal, selling his Midas here. So, steps in the right direction for Empire. Looking at the graph, following the Roche, that's what kind of tips things really in favor of Empire, but not a huge loss for MYM at the end of the day. Like you said, the double Ravage coming out on Tide, I think, is what is particularly scary to take away from the end of that skirmish. And now Shadow Demon, he'll find a Necro Book. So they're just going mass mana drain here. And I still think it's the right idea. The question is, can they actually get it off? I noticed in that last fight when the Wraith King went down, Venge actually swapped out in the very beginning, the mana-burning Necronomicon unit. I don't know if it was a misclick or intentional to try to just build some distance between the mana burn and the Wraith King, but was sort of an interesting play nonetheless.
Yeah, I imagine it's a misclick, but either way, like the even though he's got BKB, what happened like last fight with the Invoker is he just sends the Necrobooks at clicks to start the fight. He's not going to BKB just in front of a Necrobook, so you get his mana down to like half-ish or even less to start the fight, and suddenly he's really at threat of the Void Chronosphere killing him off. I thought last fight he was going to die without the reincarnation, but Void killed him too fast, didn't get enough mana burn hits in. Maybe if he'd stopped attacking with his hero and only attacked with the illusions, he would have got the kill, but it's one of those really hard things to judge, so just not quite enough mana burn. I'd love to rewatch it and see just how much mana he had, because he must have been really close to the 140 threshold.
It's not too often that Void's problem is he has too much damage, but that is a cause for concern here a little bit in the context of dealing with the Wraith King. Unfortunately now for Wraith King, he's completely slotted. He'll just buy a fresh BKB. It was down to 4 seconds, so he picks up a new one, and Ace gets initiated on here as they Moonlight Shadow forward. He will mech up, and looking to get off that first Ravage. He almost survives long enough to do it, but he will go down, and now MYM will just back up. Silent used a BKB for that, and it is down to 4 seconds now, so not the biggest expenditure, but will be on cooldown a little while longer. Tide does have a buyback available here, so Empire still need to be a little bit careful.
No resolutions in this as he just runs past the tower and Arise looking for this Cure Initiation, and you catch resolution. That's a pretty big pick-off here, even though the guy does still have buyback.
Yeah, he does have a Refresher Orb also. Important to note. Empire pressing right up into the Tier 3. Glyph has already been used, so MYM will need to think about how they want to make this hold. Chronosphere is still available. Silent will Time Walk out of the base. There is no Primal Split this time. Tied with 35 seconds coming up. He'll try to hold the buyback as long as possible. Really just waiting for Empire to try and commit to a fight before he uses the buyback. Doesn't want to use it, then have Empire just disengage right away, because that is Refresher money going down the tubes. But here we go. In comes the Void. Chronosphere to start things off, but Rise will swap out his friend. They'll lose the 2 supports on the Tire side straight away as Ace buys back, will come in, has the Ravage ready, and they'll just lock down Silent. That procs the Aegis, and well, the 2 cores of the Dire will still be alive. Can they bring down the Void once more as he comes up? We'll be able to time walk to the low ground, but there's the RP from Arise to stop him dead in his tracks. Magic Missile to follow up. Skewer back into the base. Quicks is there with the stun, and Silent will definitely fall. Meanwhile, on the outside of the base, they're trying to chase down Resolution. Looks like Ace did use his Ravage here. Resolution ate the cheese. That'll bring him back up to an acceptable level of HP. And it turns Ace into a piggy, but the 4-step forward. The second RP from Arise. It's 2 solo RPs, but they're used to kill both the cores. And it'll be a full 5-man wipe on the side of Empire as MYM make a great hold and minimize their losses.
Possibly just they won that team fight without using. I mean, okay, they used both RPs for solo kills, but the fight was already horribly lost for Empire. Void had lost the Aegis and was on the run to try escape, and then the first RP came. Invoker was on the run and the RP came, so they won that fight without a single RP. It was just another great swap by the Vengeful Spirit inside the Chronosphere, saved the Mag's life, and they're initiating on this, like trying to get the Mag to take out the Reverse Polarity or something, but they're just not really taking into consideration the Vengeful Spirit every single time.
Yeah. But now MYM, they need to be careful as Empire will burn a couple of buybacks on the cores in particular as they Moonlight Shadow. And they're pressing outwards. MYM do not have their big ultimates available. Ace will get hit by Shadow, or the Demonic Purge. Will be able to blink back, but now he's in a bit of trouble. The Disruption will set it up, and they just need to let this Tide die. Arise, just run, buddy. Cut your losses. Ace is dead. It's a fallen comrade, but there's no way you're saving him against this onslaught of Dire heroes. And he will indeed go down. Empire will lose their ranged racks in the mid, almost. 70 hit points left, and their Tier 4, one of them took a lot of damage. So MYM's creeps did some serious work while that fight was coming about.
And two buybacks to hold that on Void and Invoker. So your 2 key heroes, all MYM have to do is wait for Tide to respawn, wait for their big ultimates, and then just go again, I think, while those buybacks are on cooldown. They've proven they can just win fights, and Chronosphere is not something to worry about because of the Vengeful Spirit. And Rise's positioning on that Venge has just been perfect in almost every fight. I mean, the Void's only real option is to catch the Venge in the Chronosphere. You're not killing whoever you want to kill, and Venge is just not allowing that to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say easier said than done. And Magnus
What did he RP?
He just RP'd. Not sure what that was about. think he was just trying to be cute and
Didn't
pump fake it
blink?
and messed it up.
I mean, Void was like just in the mid lane, but I don't think he was anywhere near the he was maybe trying to blink and cancel the blink, but I think he was out of range anyway. So, I think that's maybe one of those like typing like sometimes you think you're typing and then you accidentally push a hotkey or something. I've used Ravage 120 times like that.
Yes, I can empathize. Certainly, it's happened to me before as well. But you're talking about catching the Vengeful Spirit and the Chronosphere, but certainly easier said than done. Now that Nether Swap has the massive 1200 range on that 10-second cooldown, Ryze is just sitting so far back.
Yeah.
I feel like for Void to do that, he has to dive so deep that it's almost too costly.
And if he Chronospheres the Venge, like who else are you Chronosphering with him? Venge is never in position to get caught with the Magnus or the Tide in that Chronosphere. So if you kill a Venge, it's like, well, you may as well...
Congraties.
Your Chrono's not doing anything, yeah. Venge is swapping out the Magnus and then often just dying himself anyway. So Venge doesn't care. If he dies for a Chronosphere, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, in these last few fights, he's actually survived a little while because he's rather tanky. He has the Ag Scepter, the casual Vitality Booster with 1,300 gold. Maybe he'll just pull up a heart, just go match it max HP, and see if he can actually survive the initial onslaught. Certainly an option. But now the double Ravage is up for Tidehunter. That's a refresher orb, and once this RP comes up here in just about 2 seconds, MYM will have everything they need to take a good team fight, and they won't delay a moment longer. They'll send their 5-man squad up towards this bottom lane of barracks.
Looking to end things here. And Empire, well, this is where you just buy those last items. They're not going to buy back on Void Invoker, so I mean, not much Void can buy apart from like a Crystallis maybe. He's still a couple hundred gold short of that, but...
Yeah, no buybacks, no Aegis, no cheese. This is a much different set of circumstances relative to the last fight. They do have a glyph. That's about the only thing they have going their way, but Quix will just chop this tower down before they can glyph it. And again in the front lines, EMP flies through, will be off the mark as he gets force-stabbed back. Very nicely done. Silent off to the side.
That's a 35-second hex cooldown. Like, I don't think they can just use these as liberally as they want.
Yeah, especially knowing that
it'll be back up.
Yeah, knowing that there's 4 stabs available, though. That's RP onto Silent. Mystic Flare will be off the mark, but he'll refresh the RP straight away. Silent gets Silent, and he'll be locked down to fall. No buyback, so it's a 5v4, Void down for 100 seconds, and this could be the beginning of the end. The Primal Split comes out, but the Panda just can't do much. Quix goes flying into the front lines. Ace has the first Ravage. No BKBs on. Refreshes. Will look for the second Ravage, but Resolution will use his BKB, and that will deter Ace. Still holding on to it. Solo takes a stun on the low ground. Mag will be able to bring down Ryze, it looks like. They've lost the 2 supports on the Radiant side, but Quix still has his ultimate. Just getting kited around right now, but there's an RP onto 3. He'll skewer them right into the Wraith King. There's the second Ravage from Ace. It connects on all 4 that are still alive, and it's a full team wipe. The patience from Ace proving so effective there as him and Ryze make it happen with the big ultimates, and this should be a GG here, guys.
Yeah, just really strong game all around from MYM, and they didn't rush things too much. There were a few fights that weren't as well executed as they would have liked, but they also knew they could win the late game. When you've got 2 like big ultimate heroes both with a refresher, your late game is something better than Empire. It doesn't matter who's got more carries or who's more farmed, who's got the better carries. Like Empire can have the farm, Void, and Invoker all they like, but you're not winning a team fight against Tide and Magnus.
Yeah. You're
not killing them in the Chronosphere with the swaps. So all around, like they countered the Empire draft, executed their draft perfectly, and just it's great to see an upset coming out of MYM. Not the first time this season as well. I think it was Alliance we saw them take a game off of as well. So even though MYM may not be going to the LAN finals, they've had some really big wins.
Yeah, and just crisp execution in this game, looking very, very good. Now Empire moving into 4 losses, puts them in a slightly more difficult position, looking towards the top 4. Now before we move into the next game, we've got Na'Vi versus the Hellraisers ready to start. The bets for this game, Gods, would you care to take a guess on what the numbers were?
82%.
Pretty close. 85% for Empire, MYM 15%. 4 Arcanas and many other big items were lost, and oh boy, the upsets. We'll have a quick break here, guys, and then Na'Vi coming up for our second game of the day here in the Starladder Season 10 European Day 20 coverage.